Welcome to another episode of Football Fans in Finance. I'm your host, Leighton, and as always, we ask you to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. Also, click that notification bell so you know when we release our newest videos. We start off with news in Europe. Obviously, Arsenal and Chelsea had some very favourable results. Arsenal is in the next stages of the Europa League, and Chelsea has a advantage in their tie against Atletico Madrid. Let's start with London Blues. Difficult team, Atletico. Diego Simeone's team always pose any sort of trouble to Chelsea and any other English team. I know that you were a bit uncertain going into the tie, but you got a good result.
Yeah, good result. And
was away from home, right?
Yeah, away from home. So that way, but it was actually surprising to me how Atletico came and set up. I know it's a disciplined team, but at certain points in the game, they had 6 at the back. And I just couldn't understand because I personally thought, Chelsea was there for the taking. And even though we dominate possession, based on how we set up, we had more of the ball. In the final third, there wasn't a lot of chances, and it's a recurring theme with the team, actually. Couple things of importance. So, Callum Hudson-Odoi started after being embarrassed on the weekend, right? And I've thought about it, right? Because I think it sent the wrong message, and for me, it's a strike on the coach already. Even though him come and start this play, I'm embarrassed to play, right?
But the man have a strike already.
Yeah, man, Tuchel out already.
Yeah, Rafa gave him a strike, right? Well, what Tuchel said, is him get 18 months. And normally him not take an 18 months contract, but him sit down and him said to himself, say, if they give me 5 years and it don't work, they're gonna sack me. So he knows they're up on the clock, right?
Yeah.
Him acknowledge that.
Let's pay out to if they sack him.
That's
really it,
that's the problem.
That's what Chelsea do.
So what he want to do, I get some result together, and probably which is why I'm take off Hudson-Odoi. I mean, if you get the results, so you can probably get an extension of contract and then get a bigger payout, right? But I was surprised with how Atletico set up, and throughout the whole game, Luis Suarez wasn't really a threat because he wasn't getting that service. They were very defensive, and they were, well, for argument's sake, at home. It was a neutral ground because there's no traveling to Spain.
To Spain, yeah.
But I was actually surprised, and I think...
Really though?
Yeah.
No, man, that is the typical David Simeone team, They set up strong defensively,
All right,
especially at home, because in my opinion, what they were trying to do is to avoid conceding at home. Because then if you can go, let's go away. So if you draw 0-0 away if you draw 1-0 away from home, you're fine. So I think he was cautious about the pace that Chelsea has, but he doesn't.
Well, why I was surprised, because this is not our first goal with Atletico. We've had a couple run-ins with him since Diego Simeone has been manager, even when Costa was there. They play us couple times and them usually a lot more competitive. And I felt like, in terms of going in with confidence, I thought they would have been the more confident team. I mean, they did look threatening whenever they got the ball and got it forward there. But in terms of how they sat back, so now I think they have it all to do in the second leg. I think Chelsea will come with a similar setup, play 3 at the back and have the 2 wing back tuck in if necessary and see if them can get something on the break. But overall, I still feel I'm not very confident with the team. I'm not seeing where the goals are coming from. We have a lot of possession in the final third. There's no creativity. So it's not us creating a lot of chances. We just have possessions moving side to side. A couple key players out next match. Jorginho out.
How will you manage?
Mount is out also.
Yeah, Mason out.
So a couple players out. And
injury or
suspended.
Suspension.
Okay.
And I thought it was an unorthodox match in the way the team set up. In terms of when we scored the goal. By the way, the goal was, I was watching it live and working at the same time, and I saw it and I was like, why VAR taking so long to call this offside? And it's probably the same thing. What probably happened to Atletico is how they set up. They had 6 players around here, so a man inadvertently passed the ball to Giroud and Giroud scored. After we scored, we took off Kovacic, we took off Mason Mount, and we started to bring on the flair players, which for me, it kind of counterintuitive for me, because a lot of these players not giving you the energy in terms of running back and covering. And once we scored on Atletico, what we started to see is them started to come out more and put us under a little bit of pressure.
I think taking off Kovacic was a tactical decision by the manager. You have Mason Mount and Jorginho missing for the next leg. I don't think you want to have Kovacic missing as well because you have an empty midfield. So I think that was a tactical decision on his part, right? Because you know what Atletico going to come at you. You know your midfield. Somebody probably going to take a yellow in the middle. And you don't want it to be Kovacic who has to make that decision and say, okay, do I take the yellow? Or do I, end up in trouble for the next game? So you're going to protect him, right? Mason Mount was basically playing on the border for a good portion of the game. So you could have seen Mason Mount getting a red card, or getting a second year and getting sent off. So I think he was also protecting himself and protecting the lead. So he brought on some players who may call him fair play, but I think it's players who actually hold the ball up a little longer as well, in my mind. So I think that was, from his perspective, it was saying, okay, protect the one goal, keep possession of the ball, protect the midfield, because like I said, Jorginho and Mason Mount already missing for your midfield. You don't want to risk Kovacic in any way, shape or form because you're going to have a serious problem in the second leg and you already have an away goal. So you're saying, boy, even if we concede, we're still not in the worst possible position. So I think that's where he was going. So I don't have an issue with taking that route at that stage in the game. You're up a game away. And if you look at even how Atletico set up, in the few games I've watched them this season, that's actually similar to how they've been playing. They've actually been more defensive this season than in previous seasons. And we're saying, okay, Suarez is expecting to be a threat. But I think Luis Suarez literally is playing how Luis Suarez always plays, especially in the latter part of his career. If you look at him over the last 2 years, even at his last year at Barcelona and this season, he's not a person who gets a lot of chances in the games. He's a very sharp striker. So you give him half a chance, he's going to score. But how Atletico has been setting up, he's not been feeding off much. But he's just very clinical. So I don't think they've actually done anything significantly different from how they've played, because if you look at even João Felix, I've been watching him and watching his body language in the game. He looks like somebody who is frustrated that they're not being unleashed.
You're right. Both wings suffer from that, because if you look at Lamar also, he was very defensive.
Yes, that's how he has been playing all season. That's how Simeone has set up the side all season. And I think, as I said, if you look at even in the past, Atletico versus this squad, I think this squad is not as strong as past squads.
Definitely not.
So I think that's why I say, okay, start from a solid base. If I don't concede, I can't lose, right? And you can get some 1 or 2 love victories here or there, because Luis Suarez is the type of striker, even though he's up in age, you give him half a chance and you make it into a chance. And I think that is what has been carrying Atletico for this season. And you see when Suarez is out, there's a different side. I think he got 16 goals so far in the league. 16 goals in the league, and he's been playing. I don't think Suarez hasn't scored in the Champions League so far this season. Right? And I think Atletico, even in the Champions League, Atletico have the least amount of goals of all the sides that qualified out of from the group stage. I think they're averaging less than a goal a game. So Atletico is not a side that has been scoring a lot in the Champions League. They've been setting up solid defensively, and then we'll squeeze a 1 or 2 goal. Because if you don't concede, you're always going to fancy yourself to get a chance. So that from a set piece, you have a lot of creative players or some attacking players who will figure that they get a half chance and they can turn it into a chance. But it's not actually significantly different from how Atletico has been setting up, especially in the Champions League. So it wasn't really surprising to me, to be honest.
Right. Question to you, Kevin. So, as you said, Thomas Tuchel, he has an 18-month contract, right? So, off the bat, is really results will determine whether or not he stays much longer at Chelsea. So, you understand why he'll probably go with Kovacic and Mason Mount, who were performing for Lampard before he was sacked. And then
Kovacic wasn't playing.
Kovacic.
Yeah, man, he was playing.
He was performing and Mason Mount, right?
Yeah, Mason on him back.
He said, okay, Kai Havertz did drop off the boil. Ziyech had his injury problems, but he was good. But right now, you're not seeing Pulisic or Ziyech or even Kai Havertz getting the opportunities that you would expect them to get with a new coach. But a man that seemingly can't be dropped, I don't know why, is Timo Werner. And I know that you're not really happy with his performances of late. So why you think that these coaches just continue with Timo Werner? Granted, you're not seeing the goals, you're not seeing the assists. And then
Good old fashioned work rate.
That's what you wanted to say? If you want to make a point before.
No, let's make a quick point, right?
Okay.
Thomas Tuchel came in and it's interesting, right? So, because of the large German contingency in Chelsea, I think that was one of the deciding factors for Thomas Tuchel coming in because Timo Werner, Kai Havertz,
Rudiger.
Huh? Rudiger, and there's another German on the side.
Sure.
Is the next one?
Yeah. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz.
Oh, I think Pulisic because he missed.
Pulisic, yeah. So he coached Pulisic, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the reasons for bringing him because they said, okay, you have two German players who are new this transfer window, plus Christian Pulisic. So I think one of the deciding factors for him was actually to get the best out of them. A, language and culture barrier, and then two, he was familiar. He was a coach that was at Dortmund during the time that Christian Pulisic rose to prominence. I think that was one of the determining factors why he got the job over other managers. So it's interesting. So I think Timo Werner will play, and Kai Havertz now is a different scenario. That I think him can't bank everything on Kai Havertz because he wants to get to the end of the season in a strong position and see what happens for the next season. I think he's just trying to survive the end of the season, get in top 4. You understand? If he can make a run in the Champions League, and then at the end of the season, he can say to Roma and say, boy, extend the contract, give me an additional 3 years, and then he can start actually implement a plan. But right now, it's a survival. Man, get 18 months.
So what I say is, you still not answer the question. Why Verona play? Zin? Because all of that.
He's mobile.
All of that.
Work rate, good man.
Explain his facts, right? And I want to jog the memory of the people on the coach, right? I remember very early in the chat, I said, look here, the Liverpool match, I said, I'm not impressed. And the man said, I'm unfair, the man at work. I said, all right.
But he was at the time, to be fair.
Work.
No, but to be fair, Kevin, be fair.
Oh my
when
God.
Timo Werner came in, he was playing. He was scoring, he was getting on the goals. People forget
he was working.
And he was scoring.
He was taking good shots. As a
matter of fact, we were blaming Lampard why we're not getting better results because he's not using him properly.
Hold on. So here what I say about Verona. Definitely he'll work. And I always say this. It's when a coach look into the training session and see a man at work, I know a man always have him 100% out there versus if the so-called flair players, they say, you don't know if you're going to blow hot and cold, you always don't trust that player. But I guess I had a different idea of who Werner was. And I've seen snippets of him, but I never watched him totally yet.
Okay.
His touch is horrible at all times. Man can't control, right? See, just the facts. I don't know if something is going on in personal life.
This man in personal
life. Everything. The man live on the personal life. When you can't explain to himself something in personal life.
That is outside of the model, right? I don't know if something outside of footballer impact him. Yeah. But one thing I'll give him, he'll work. But sometimes I see him touch, let him down, and it's confusing to me. It's confusing to me that
confidence, man. I think it's confidence. I think he's thinking too much before he does anything. I think football. Okay, so Kevin, we'll play football.
One thing I'll give Verona though, and this is what I always say. I don't feel the team, quote unquote, plays for Verona in terms of how it's set up.
Exactly.
Every time I watch him, you see, once the ball turn over, head down on the move.
Yeah.
We take too much touches in the midfield. Mm-hmm. So Verona is not going to be a player that play it into feet or you play it and him hold it up.
No.
He's a baller over the top. And that's where he had most of his success earlier in the league.
Exactly.
And we're not doing that. You understand? So
and that's what he got in Germany as well.
So I think that is what it was impacting him. But I also feel, I know Abramovich is the type of owner who say, look here, I like this person. He has to succeed. And I feel some of that. I think Thomas Tuchel come in. All right, if you come in and you look in terms of players who have been consistent since he came in, Hudson-Odoi is one of them. Mason Mount is one of them. And
Zuma consistent on the bench.
Rudiger has been consistent for him. It's changing around everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Chilwell can't get a look in.
Yeah.
Marcus Alonso is now starting over Chilwell. Chilwell can't get a look into the squad. Werner cannot be moved.
Yeah.
No, I think, and if you look, you switch to Tammy Abraham, you switch to Giroud, you do all type of rotation. I think
Verona is more. I think Verona is more versatile than all the other forwards.
Most definitely.
I think that's one of the reasons he give options.
Definitely, but the he can play different formations, right? And he's shown he's not reluctant to play different formations. But I feel, and this is just my assumption, that part of his contract is say, look here, you have to get the best out of Verona. I want this player to work. And we've seen it before with Abramovich.
Yeah,
and
Fernando
so
Torres.
Yeah, I said two things.
And Andrei Shevchenko.
And I said two things, right, to that, and I agree with you. That could be a factor, but you have to also look at it and say, you can play several formations. Timo Werner is the type of forward that can play in several formations. If you look at how Olivier Giroud stay, you look at how Tammy Abrams, those players, you have to have certain formation on the field to have them get the best out of them. Timo Werner is somebody that can play in almost any formation and game fit in, and you can change the tactics, change the formation on the field without him being redundant. I think that's also another factor too. Him being on the field gives the coach one less change that he has to make if he wants to change his formation. You understand? He can play him through the middle, he can play him wide, he can play him in several positions, and his style of play is versatile. The only thing that gets in front of him is a final third, you know. And for a footballer,
that's a big part of it,
no,
right?
I get that, but that can come. If you have a player who in your side right now and he's doing everything and just getting it right, just
what is
play him into
everything
form.
else? Because you're why I think Timo Werner is not really working, particularly even in the Atletico game. At some points in the game, Atletico have 6 persons back. They're playing deep. Yeah. You see, when a team playing deep and on the top of the 18, you need crisp touches. He's not going to give you that. So probably in such a setup, you know, you can probably have somebody who have a cleaner touch on the top of the 18. So I think and Tuchel come out and say it. I think, and we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. And to Danny's point, probably that's why we're seeing a lot of Verona. So he's learning the team. He wants to be defensively solid first. That's why he played the 3 at the back and the 2 wing back that can turn into 5 and give him that type of coverage. With that type of coverage also you see N'Golo Kante suffering because you don't need that much cover in the midfield, even though you're playing 2 pivots, but you know, both of them are more creative.
Yeah.
So you're seeing that. So, you know, a lot of questions have been raised about Pulisic, and I spoke to you before the show today that say, look here, Bayern Munich, you know, is touted to be looking at him. But I think he'll eventually work these players into the team. And to Danny's point, the work rate you're getting from Verona right now is, even though I'm not producing, you see, just because I'm blistering pace, the defense
give defenders something to think about.
But I'm just,
and I think Kevin, right so here's the thing, right? And a striker who's not scoring goals is always going to be a problem, right? But I think that and if you look at Timo Werner when he's playing, look at him body language, right? He's always trying. 1, 2. I think he's thinking too much before he does the thing. When the ball comes to him in the final third, you can see that he's thinking. And you know, in football, especially when you're playing in as a striker, the moment you're thinking is the moment you let the defender in the game. I let the goalkeeper in the game. When you're thinking where to put the ball is a problem. As a striker's instincts, and instincts come from also confidence. When you're not confident, you start to overthink. Because if you look at every other in the final third, his touches get poorer than anywhere else on the field. And his finishing chances are different. I see him missing some point-blank chances where they're saying, okay, clearly he's in his own head too much.
Yeah, in touch not good anywhere on the field.
No, man.
That's the facts.
In touch decent, man, before
Chelsea. What I
Chelsea.
said before we finish, right? But I see William trying also.
Yo, listen to me now. Can we cut this now, please?
That's a good segment.
No, that's a good cut.
No. Hold on. I see William trying. Why William get the chance like Verona get it out there? You see me?